everyone. Welcome to the Self-Awareness Journey podcast. I'm Melissa Albers.
And I'm JJ Parker. This podcast is for seekers, seekers of happiness and joy, seekers of a centered approach to success in life, seekers of their true, authentic selves.
Get ready for some real talk on everything from anxiety, emotions, and habits to love, compassion, and forgiveness. We know you'll be challenged and enlightened by this conversation. We're so glad you're here. Let's dive in.
Melissa, the other day I heard this phrase that I thought we should talk about.
Yeah.
I thought was interesting. It was, your level of success will rarely exceed your level of personal development.
Oh, amen. Can I get an amen? Oh, I love that.
That's it. The podcast is over for the day.
Hope you enjoyed it, everyone.
Well, this idea, so when we think about our careers, right, we think about we think a lot about professional development.
Yeah.
Right. How do we succeed at our jobs? Well, I need specialized training. I need to work in my field for X amount of years.
Right.
Maybe I needed a certain college background or pedigree, right? You talk about sort of these almost more like technical trainings.
Yeah.
I need to get sharper at my skill.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So I'm going to go to specific industry trade show events, learning events, take courses around my skill. But what we don't talk about a lot at work is the personal development side of that.
Right.
And I think what I'm sure you observe probably on an hourly basis, and what I observe is that the things that are holding people back more than their technical skill is their personal
softer skill.
The softer skills, our interpersonal skills.
Yes. Every time.
So.
Yeah, I love that. I love the topic, and it's such a broad topic. It's almost hard to. I'm so excited. I gotta be thoughtful about our conversation.
You're gonna go off on a rant.
This pod isn't gonna be 6 hours long. So what you were describing were your hard skills. So anything that's
that's a good phrase. That's a better phrase. I'm using technical skills, but hard skills.
But I actually like your description because I think that's how most people would consider it and think about it. From an HR world, they actually call that your hard skills. All the stuff that you have to be good at in order for you to elevate in your role or elevate in the organization.
You know what? I love language. I love thinking about language we use and how language really shapes the way we think about things.
Yeah.
Isn't it funny that we use a word like technical or hard skills?
Yeah, it sounds terrible.
Well, it sounds actually, to me, it kind of sounds cool. No, I want more hard skills, right? And then you say the soft skills.
Yeah.
Those are just soft skills.
Yeah, those don't really matter.
Those don't really matter, except the thing is those are the ones that matter. So maybe we need to come up with a better word for those soft skills so they sound cooler.
Oh, that's so good. Well, I agree with you, and I think what I see all the time in business, but it actually applies in our personal lives everywhere as well, and that is, if you aren't working on yourself, or if you don't have an attitude of expansiveness, if you don't have an attitude of growth, you are going to be absolutely stifled in something, 100%. The world will pass you by, and. I could get on a soapbox. So that did sound like a soapbox, but I am sort of on a little soapbox.
The podcast is your soapbox. Get up on there. That's what we're all listening for.
But you can't. You started off by saying your success rarely exceeds your level of personal development, and whether it be your success, whether it be your significance, whether it be your role in this world growing, if you don't have a conscious decision to make yourself better, you will get stuck. And John Maxwell has a great, in the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, which is one of his top books. Again, that's John Maxwell is his name, in case anyone's interested. He has a law of the lid. That's what one of the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership is. And the law of the lid states that you will never be able to hire somebody that is, if you're operating, let's say a 1 out of 5, let's say you're operating at a 3, you're never going to be able to hire somebody that's operating at a 5.
Why is that?
You're not, because they see you. If your level
Yeah,
of
so you're
success,
talking about like your lid is like the top of the jar, right? It's the ceiling.
exactly.
It's your ceiling.
It's your ceiling.
Yeah.
So if you're operating at a 3, you're not going to get people around you that are 5s. And if you do, it's a short-term deal. So he's very blunt about, the need for constantly growing yourself and the need for having that awareness, particularly in leadership or places of influence. So
Sure.
even if you're not a leader in a company, even in your role in your company,
Well, everyone has influence whether they
Yes.
know it or not.
Yeah.
So you said lid. I kind of think of, we talk about the idea of like a glass ceiling. Same kind of concept, right? It's like you look up, but there's like something prevents you from
bouncing
getting
up there.
all the way to your potential. You just hit the glass ceiling.
Right.
And same thing, law of the lid would be saying, hey, if maybe his is a little bit more opaque, and saying like, I look up and I can't even see past the lid. I don't even know what's beyond for me.
Right. I think too, it's very common that as we mature and age in our lives, we are given more exposure. We are in positions where just naturally through our own experiences, we get more experience just because we've been around longer. We get different jobs sometimes just because we've been around longest. We get more opportunity oftentimes because we're more aged than the younger person with less experience. But it's very funny because just like you started to say, even if we get those opportunities, we get those jobs, we get those new things, if we're not aware of our need to develop parts of ourselves, we won't be successful. We'll just limp along. So you can go take a class, you can learn how to get like another software certification, or you can, whatever the case may be. But if you're not working on the soft skill of yourself, your ability to interact with others, your ability to grow yourself, your ability to see yourself clearly, you're going to be stuck.
So how do we work on that stuff? Because a lot of times in my experience, learning how to work better with someone usually involves me like totally screwing up the relationship, apologizing, and then trying to do better the next time.
I was going to say, for me, it usually involves doing something really, really embarrassing.
Yeah, right.
Stepping in it.
So other than having this hard knocks way of learning, how else can we work on these skills, at work or in our personal life that's maybe not so painful? Or is that the only way?
What do you think?
I've asked you first.
I know, but you always
you do this all the
ask
time.
me
I ask you a question, then you're like, "What do you think?"
Oh, I don't say it all the time. I'd say 1 in 10 times do I toss it back over the fence and say, "You catch the ball."
Well, so that's a good question. I mean,
it is a good question.
The thing at work for sure is that, actually probably for bad. I was gonna say for good or bad, but just generally for bad. Everybody is really busy. Right?
Absolutely.
And there's actually like this cultural thing happening in most businesses where like, oh yeah, like we're so busy, things are rocking and rolling. And to me, that's like the opposite direction. Like I want most people in my company to be not super busy. Because busy leads to burnout and all sorts of other things, capacity problems. I don't want people sitting around doing nothing all day, but right. There's a balance. So like part of it to me is actually even having enough time where you can work on it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because like
that's a good one actually. Yeah.
If you don't give people the space in their professional life to actually work on developing themselves, it's just not going to happen.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
So you know, my wonderful VP of sales, I really want him to work on personal development, but he has got himself into a position where he's so flippin' busy every second of the day, like he can't. And that's like the thing that's most frustrates me on the team, is specifically him, and how he's not giving himself the capacity to do the thing that I actually really want him to do.
Right.
I want him to do less blocking and tackling. I want him to do more personal development.
Right. Yeah. And depending on your personality style, that is like telling somebody to slow down and be intentional when they're a high speed, high output individual.
Hard.
It is like, oh my gosh, it's so hard.
Yeah.
And then if you talk about, a younger person, younger meaning 30s versus 50s, there's a huge difference within that, The other thing I was just thinking is like, I think one of the things too is like, when we have this recognition that there's areas for our own growth, like in this situation, like we're talking about his, I think one of the huge things that happens is that we end up recognizing that we have this gap that doesn't bring us fully into this new space that we want to be in. And then rather than getting after the gap and just saying, okay, I need to slow this down.
I know where you're going here.
Oh my gosh. Well, what we usually do though is we just assume that it's going to change. Like we expect it's going to be different because we've had the conversation, or, oh, I noticed this, or, oh, you said something to me. And we just expect it's going to be different.
Yeah. If you work in the tech industry, what we would say is like, oh, the way through it is just to hustle harder, right? That's the phrase. Like we have to go faster.
Hustle harder.
Hustle harder.
Yeah. And what was I just saying to you before we hit record this morning? I was saying, oh my gosh, I don't know how I'm going to get through this month. It is jam-packed, and I did not sleep worrying about it. And that's the first time that's happened in years, because I had what I felt truly outgrown the need to sit up and stress out about things that I can't do a thing about at 2:00 in the morning. But turns out came back to visit last night.
Still there for you.
Yeah, the committee was there. The committee all made a surprise appearance at 2:00 in the morning. The chairman of the board was trying to sleep. That would be me. Okay, here's the thing.
Okay, go.
Oh, I was just going to say, here's the thing. There's a lot of stuff, bringing it back to the beginning of the conversation, there's a lot of stuff in the soft skills that are much more challenging to get our ego to sit down and shut up and listen. Because just talk about getting a promotion, or talk about trying to lead people. If you just get promoted from your peers, like let's say you just get promoted and you're leaving all of your peers behind. Here's what happens on the inside. This is the conversation that we're having with ourselves. Oh, this is a really good opportunity. I can't screw this up. Everybody's going to be really watching what I do. And all of my friends are now not my friends. Now they're my direct reports. And I'm supposed to all of a sudden know how to do all this and be different.
Yeah.
Now, the real story is, well, there's no way you're going to know how to do that differently right away. Absolutely not a chance. Why would you? Just because you got promoted, suddenly you're supposed to have this great big new skill that just gets tucked into the, to the second paragraph of the agreement. That's not how it works. But what happens is then we make ourselves wrong about it. We're like, oh, don't say anything. Yeah. Don't show your belly. Don't. It's so crazy how with a technical skill, if we don't know it, we just say, oh yeah, I don't know it. But if it's something that's a soft skill, like how we feel or interacting or how we think about people or things, and we don't feel like we're quite ready for whatever reason, suddenly we try to hide it, fake it, pretend it doesn't matter, pretend we got it, like whatever.
Yep. You know what? I just realized. I gotta send a message right after this podcast. We had a guy start literally 2 days ago, like a new person. They are a technical project manager. And the role that there in our company is like a step up from their last role at a different company. So this was an external hire, bigger role than they had before. So they're pretty stoked to be here. But and a lot of times, I mean, unfortunately, like I don't get to see everybody on their first day anymore.
I know, yeah.
But I happened to just come across him on Wednesday, on his first day, and he expressed to me, he goes, "Hey, yeah, I really appreciate this opportunity. I'm really excited, but I gotta tell you, I'm having a little bit of imposter syndrome because this is a bigger role than I realized, and I'm really, I'm really excited to get into it, but every time I switch a job, I get this feeling," and I was like, "That's amazing! Like, thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah,
no problem. We have tons of patience for getting you into this role because we know you're the right culture fit, the right kind of personality.
Yeah, right.
We don't care about the technical part. We know you're going to get there."
Right.
But I just reflected on that. I didn't realize that until just now.
Oh my gosh, what a self-aware guy.
Yeah.
I mean, to be able to say that.
Yeah.
I was watching because I wasn't sleeping. I was watching the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, and there was an actor on there, and I don't watch all the movies. I don't know all the movies and stuff, but he's obviously a very, very, very popular actor in like the Marvel, that kind of stuff. Anyway, he was talking about being asked to take on a new role, and it was a huge role. He's in The Mandalorian, Star Wars stuff. Okay, and it was a huge role. And Jimmy Fallon said to him, "Well, congratulations, man. How do you feel?" And you know what he said? He said,
What?
"I'm terrified." Here he's this long track record, but he's going into something new with a whole new set of people, new directors, all that stuff. He said, "I'm absolutely terrified."
Yeah.
And he said, "And I know the first 2 weeks I will have to break through the terror barrier."
Nice. That's a great phrase.
Isn't it?
Yep. Yeah. My favorite book, The War of Art by Steve Pressfield.
Yes. I've read it twice.
He talks about that same idea. Like, as an artist, the thing you should be doing is the thing that scares you the most.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Because that's like the sign that that's where the growth exists. That's where the growth opportunity is.
Yeah.
Right? So this idea that if we stay in our comfort zone, if we stay, again, like in using that analogy, if you stay in that jar, that jar's not going to get any bigger, right? You're stuck in that container.
Yeah.
But if you go seek these things that are scary, are outside your comfort zone, or are just things that maybe you need to go explore that you haven't explored yet,
right?
Those are the things that get you to the next level.
Right. And this is not false advertising for this rah BS development stuff. Like, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about just being open with yourself, wanting to improve yourself, setting your dang ego aside enough to say, "Oh, I'm scared of this a little bit. I'm not really sure what this is going to look like." And what a fantastic experience to have that.
Yep. And
it's amazing.
You see this all the time when people get scared about things or uncomfortable with things. It's so easy for them to like double down on their technical skill. Right? They lean on the technical part. They lean on the logical part. They're like, and they overuse that part of their brain, right?
Yep.
Which really becomes like a self-limiting thing.
Yes, absolutely. And there are certain skills, that could almost be considered like crossover skills that people would say, well, this thing that I do, it's not a technical skill, but I don't know if it's a soft skill either, but it's something that I have to do. Like, for example, if you are in a position of influence in an organization and you have to speak, okay, one of the things I see in leaders all the time is you can have a great leader, but if they don't know how to speak, it just flattens them.
Oh,
It
yeah.
makes them lose confidence. It makes other people lose confidence in them because they don't think that they know what they're meaning. They don't think they know their own thoughts, but the truth of the matter is it has nothing to do with that. It's just their speaking. So like that skill, learning how to communicate better, is a skill that isn't really I don't consider that really a technical skill, and I don't know if I guess it is a soft skill.
I think it's a soft skill.
It feels like that one's a little different because it is a soft skill, but it is one that you can practice intentionally with some stuff,
Right. So
and see your work.
yeah. So if we get like a little bit more like specific about the soft skill situations here, I would say it's speaking and communicating with people effectively.
Yeah.
So many people are so bad at communicating. Like, I don't know. If I had one piece of advice for people, it would be go take a copywriting class, because learning how to like say something succinctly is
so important.
a superpower. Like if
it's
you
so
can do
important.
that, but it's so hard. Reading people, right? Having some emotional intelligence about how other people might be feeling.
Yes.
That's another like key
Huge.
soft skill. Self-awareness, have an understanding about how you are feeling,
Right.
which is a skill
Number one.
that is number
That's
one.
number
You
one.
listen to the right podcast.
That's number one.
I did them out of order.
It's okay.
But it should start with self-awareness, right? Like as soon as you understand how you're feeling, how you're seeing the world, how you're processing things, can have a huge effect, and that's a big soft skill.
Yeah.
Which ones did I miss?
I
Those
don't
are big
really.
three.
Yeah, you basically said knowing yourself, knowing others, and being able to communicate all of those things back and forth. I mean, that's just me putting stuff in a different organizational format.
Perfect. Just do that.
But I think that's perfect. Like I think those are the things, and it is just so critical to recognize that when you do that, when you put your own idea about something to the side, you allow yourself to enter into the experiment. You have success doing it, even if it's a C+ instead of an A. You will feel so good in the fact that you did it. You will feel so accomplished to be able to say, I didn't know how to do this and I asked someone. I didn't know how to do this and I worked on it. I'm so proud of myself that I learned how to do that. And it not only lifts your lid, but it also allows you, as they always say, birds of a feather. So the people that you are working around and that you are that you are with all the time, is you're the product of the top 5 people that you spend time with. And as you develop yourself, you'll notice that those people shift.
Yep.
So it's just a constant growth.
All right, so we can all agree together that we're going to work on these soft skills.
Yes.
Work on personal development so that we can achieve a higher level of success. And then once we do that, we're going to hear that like wonderful noise that like when you undo the lid and it does that pop noise.
Like the Fisher Peanuts commercials.
Right? We're all going to hear that. I love that noise.
Wait. That?
There you go. That's it. That's the one I want to hear. Did you enjoy this episode? Please go to your favorite podcast platform to subscribe, rate, and leave a review so others can discover it as well.
Growing self-awareness is a lifelong journey, and there's always further to go. And it's better when we're all in it together. Please think of someone you know who could benefit from hearing today's conversation and share this episode with them. We can't thank you enough for listening. Until next time, happy exploring, seekers.